only Bacos give your salads that bacony Bacos crunch.
I'll see you, kid. Get well soon. You know, when a friend or loved one is hospitalized, it can be scary. And today's sky-high health care costs could make matters even worse, especially since Medicare pays less than half of your average hospital bill. In fact, Medicare's in-hospital deductible and co-payments, those are the costs you pay out of your own pocket. They've been raised every single year since 1968. The Part A deductible that started at $40 is now $400. And you could pay that for just one day in the hospital. And all the other expenses you'd face during a long hospital stay could easily cost you thousands of dollars, even with Medicare. But I have a solution. So jot down this toll-free number while I tell you about it. It's the Medicare Insurance Supplement from Union Fidelity Life Insurance Company. This insurance plan matches Medicare's eligible hospital deductible and co-payments dollar for dollar, right now and every time they go up. I'm sold on it because it pays benefits direct to you, not the doctor or the hospital, unless that's what you want. And it pays regardless of Medicare or your other insurance. And what's more, if you're 65 or over, you can't be turned down for any reason. And best of all, this coverage is yours at money-saving rates. So help protect yourself against the costs Medicare leaves you to pay. Call this toll-free number to receive a free information kit that clearly explains it all. And there is no obligation whatsoever. Now, don't wait until it's too late. Get the peace of mind you deserve. Call today.
Take Danny Thomas's advice and call for this important information today. Call toll-free 1-800-228-5001. That's 1-800-228-5001, or write to Danny Thomas, Trevose, PA 19049. Call right now, 1-800-228-5001. Operators are standing by.
Louise Mandrell.
My hair has to have as much style as my performances. I use new White Rain Mousse. It gives me all the high style of the fancy brands without the fancy price.
Oh, yeah!
New White Rain Mousse. Beautiful hair at a beautiful price.
Tonight on Explorer, it was a race against nature and impossible odds. For 8 daring explorers, it was a modern-day journey to the top of the world without the help of modern technology. Go north to the pole on National Geographic Explorer. Tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern on the Superstation.
A man told Mrs. Castle, you're a peasant, I'm the king.
The Honeymooners, our regular weeknight riot, 7:35 Eastern on the Superstation weeknights.
Dianetics by L. Ron Hubbard. Buy your copy at B. Dalton's, Walden Books, or wherever paperbacks are sold. A fresh look at today's problems.
California raisins from the California vineyards.
Don't you know that I heard it through the grapevine?
Sounds better than what I got.
You know, I love the excitement in Atlantic City and Las Vegas, and okay, I get VIP treatment. Now, you too can get VIP treatment and big savings just by carrying the Players Club Go card. You'll save money on rooms, on top-name entertainment, on food and beverages. Just join the club that's honored the world over. Atlantic City, Las Vegas, Reno, Tahoe, the Caribbean, all around the world. Hey, no strings attached to get the club's benefits. You listen to Telly? Call Players Club today.
Monday on the new Leave It to Beaver, Eddie comes through with tickets to the Super Bowl.
And I'm inviting you. Oh, Billy, I can't believe it. This is the greatest thing that ever happened to me.
The whole gang is Super Bowl bound, but will true love stand in the way? The comedy hit of the season, the new Leave It to Beaver. Monday at 6:05 Eastern, only on the Superstation.
You can slam it, you can jam it, you can block it, you can rock it at the hoop.
Monday on Special Edition NBA, Atlanta's Air Force invades the Motor City. Human highlight Dominique Wilkins leads the Hawks' assault against Isaiah Thomas in Detroit. Then Thursday on Special Edition NBA, Kareem and the Lakers use their magic against Indiana. Let's all go to the hoop with Atlanta and Detroit. Live at 8:05 p.m. Eastern on the Superstation, Monday.
When you want to see the best, it's WTBS at the hoop.
Hi, I'm Paul Horning. Football's always been a big part of my life, and to keep up, I always go straight to the source, the sporting news. It gives me more than all the other sports weeklies and monthlies, plus the complete story on baseball, basketball, hockey, and boxing. Here's how you can get it all and save a bundle in the bargain.
You'll get 36 issues of the sporting news for 3 easy payments of $6.54. You'll also get special preview issues at no extra cost. So call now toll-free 1-800-257-1234, 1-800-257-1234.
And better. Alex, what's this about a 1/4-inch trim?
Mr. Murphy, do you like fat?
Alex, I'd never buy a steak like that.
You're not alone, because all our customers agree.
So that's why you trim so carefully.
Just a 1/4-inch fat all around.
No wonder you've got the best beef in town.
That's because there's more meat and less waste.
And better value, not to mention better taste. Wait a minute, Alex, everything we're saying's in rhyme.
Yeah, we sure sounded good. Too bad we're out of time.
Oh?
Kroger Beef's 1/4-inch trim means 10 to 30% less fat. Taste the difference. Go Krogering.
What a day. Work, shopping, the kids. Sometimes the pressure makes me want to scream. That's one of the reasons I took up cross-stitch. Not only is it relaxing and really satisfying, but when you're done, you have something that's truly beautiful. And it's so easy.
Tonight, serve stovetop instead of...
Boiled potatoes, please Mom, don't make those. Give us our stovetop stuffing each and every night.
Noodles and rices just aren't nice as having our stovetop stuffing each and every night.
Why make the usual when you can make it the great taste they all love? Easy, delicious stovetop.
Stovetop's our favorite, we really crave it. It goes with everything just right. Let's make it stovetop, stovetop tonight.
Tuesday on
Superstation WTBS. It's the most glamorous night in cable TV, the 8th Annual ACE Awards. Your favorite stars and shows, the hottest performers and hosts. Sports, comedy, drama, news and information, music. All the best of cable TV come together to see who will win the coveted ACE Awards. Join hosts Bernadette Peters and Gary Shandling for the ACE Awards, 9 Eastern on Superstation WTBS, Tuesday night. Hi, I'm Gavin McLeod. And if you, or your spouse, or your parents are between the ages of 50 and 74, I'm going to ask you to make a very important telephone call as soon as this announcement is over. And I hope...
$5 a month. I can't tell you how much it means to Mickey and me not to have to worry anymore about becoming a burden on our children.
That's terrific. And just like the Scotts, you too can get this guaranteed coverage for only $5 a month, so long as you're between 50 and 74. We'd like to mail you this free information kit, but we can't mail it until you call for it. And that's what I hope you'll do right now. Now, it doesn't matter how many other insurance plans you've called for. Believe me, you should definitely call for this one. Here's how.
Call toll-free 1-800-348-4700. 1-800-348-4700. The information kit Mr. McLeod spoke of will be mailed to you free with no obligation. So call now 1-800-348-4700. 1-800-348-4700. This is a free call.
Three Godfathers will return. Tonight, Kirk Douglas is a sheriff. Anthony Quinn is the father of a murder suspect. They're best friends. Last train from Gun Hill, 7 o'clock Eastern, tonight.
What a runaround. They fix it 5 times. It still stalls. They say not when they drive it, but leave it a week and they'll look at it. I've got a headache this big, and it's screaming for Excedrin.
Excedrin, the headache medicine. Regular strength pain relievers give you only this much medicine, but Excedrin gives you this much more. Nothing proven stronger without a prescription.
I had a headache this big, but I took Excedrin, and it's gone.
Excedrin, the headache medicine. Now in caplets, too.
Now, brilliant nail colors for today's new fashions. Leave press-on nails in 18 deep, rich, dimensional colors. Cotton candy.
Sample.
Opal mist.
Mysterious.
Leave press-on nails. 18 great nail colors you just press on with undreamed-of ease. Desert mold.
Lover.
Fiesta.
Lively.
Sugar plum.
Luscious.
40 Lee adhesive tabs and 20 Lee press-on nails for a perfect fit. Lee press-on nails. 18 sensational fashion colors. Press on.
Next Sunday on Award Theater, when America was young, her frontier had no boundaries. Men went west in search of gold, adventure, a new beginning. But the price America paid to become bigger and greater was high. Gregory Peck.
Henry Fonda and John Wayne had an all-star cast in an epic blockbuster. This is how the West was won. 10:35 Eastern on the Superstation next Sunday.
Hi, I'm Bob Vila. Millions of you have watched my home repair show on TV. If you've been putting off those home repairs and improvements you were planning, I've got something to show you. As you can see, I'm in the middle of laying a tile floor here in the bathroom. What I wanted to show you is a book that takes you through a project like this step by step. It's called Kitchens and Bathrooms, and it's part of the Time Life Books Home Repair and Improvement series. What I'm about to do is outlined in the chapter on ceramic tile, right here on page 26. First, you roll up the sheet so that the bottom side is facing outwards. Then apply the mastic with a trowel, and then lay the sheet gently into place and roll it out smoothly. If I'm going too fast for you, don't worry. It's all in the book, Kitchens and Bathrooms, step by step. Now let's go to the kitchen. What I'm doing here is reorganizing a cabinet to make better use of the space. I've removed the shelving and put in utility drawers. And on this side, I put in a sliding panel for a pot rack. And over here, I'm just putting the finishing touches on an additional storage panel. Now I'll be able to get to my pots, and they won't get in the way. It only looks tough until you know where to look. Now let's go check out the den. See this bookcase? Well, I built it myself with this book at my side. Each volume of Home Repair and Improvement gives you all the tricks of the trades. Call now and you'll start receiving these helpful books, one about every other month. Keep only those you want. Cancel anytime. With your first book, Kitchens and Bathrooms, you'll also get this 12-foot Stanley tape measure free with your purchase. The Time Life Books Home Repair and Improvement series comes in handy in this house. It'll come in handy in yours, too. Well, I've got to go finish that bathroom tile. See you later.
Call 1-800-247-7900 to examine kitchens and bathrooms for 15 days. When you decide to keep it, pay just $10.95 plus shipping and handling. Other volumes will follow, one approximately every other month. Keep only the ones you want. Cancel anytime. So call 1-800-247-7900. That's 1-800-247-7900.
Three Godfathers will return. Tonight, Kirk Douglas is a sheriff. Anthony Quinn is the father of a murder suspect. They're best friends. Last train from Gun Hill. 7 o'clock Eastern tonight.
Red Lobster brings back seafood trios.
1, 2, 3, your favorites from the sea.
6 seafood trios, all irresistible. And starting at $6.95, it's just
1, 2, 3.
like broiled Boston bluefish, succulent scallops, and sizzling shrimp scampi in one delicious dish. And even a kids trio at $1.95.
1, 2, 3, Red Lobster, 3 from the sea.
Seafood trios only for a few weeks, only at Red Lobster.
Dianetics by L. Ron Hubbard. Buy your copy at B. Dalton's, Walden Books, or wherever paperbacks are sold. A fresh look at today's problems.
Monday on the new Leave It to Beaver, Eddie comes through with tickets to the Super Bowl.
And I'm inviting you. Oh, Henry, I can't believe it. This is the greatest thing that ever happened to me.
The whole gang is Super Bowl bound, but will true love stand in the way? The comedy hit of the season, the new Leave It to Beaver. Monday at 6:05 Eastern, only on the Superstation.
Wednesday night, these are Katie's boys, and they have a score to settle.
Why can't we get some straight answers? Why didn't you tell us that Bass was shot in the back?
Their ma is dead, and someone is going to have to pay.
Stop digging around. All it'll get you is trouble.
They'll dig until they find the murderer. John Wayne and Dean Martin, the sons of Katie Elter, 8:05 Eastern on the Superstation, Wednesday. We now return to Three Godfathers, starring John Wayne.
Savings of...
Please, one at a time. My team is going places, and you can print that. But the really big news is that I personally have made some big deals.
Excuse me, sir. There's one big deal you haven't made.
Every locker room's got to have its jokester, huh?
I'm talking about a deal on Sports Illustrated.
Sports Illustrated?
Yeah. Yeah, see, Sports Illustrated gives you the feeling.
Yes.
Like how it feels to get caught in heavy Sunday traffic. Or come out and give it your best shot. And then how it feels to steal the show.
We know that, kid. What's the news?
Savings of more than 50% off the cover price.
Over 50%?
Yeah, subscribe now and get 27 action-packed weeks for 3 installments of just $9.79 each. That's baseball, football, basketball, and more.
You're a real hit, kid.
I'll give you hits. What about a free videotape? The NFL Crunch Course. It's 43 minutes of the NFL's greatest hits. It makes a smashing gift, and it's free with your paid subscription.
Free?
Any more news, kid?
Plus, you get their 87 baseball preview with schedule and their famous swimsuit issue. It's a journalistic expose that promises to be the media event of the year.
Wow, Major League.
Yeah, just call their toll-free number. You can even use your credit card.
Let me get the facts straight, Mac. 27 weeks at a savings of 50%?
Over 50%. Plus the baseball preview, the schedule, the swimsuit issue, and the free NFL Crunch Course tape. And that, gentlemen, is the big news.
Sir, may we ask you one last question?
Certainly I know you boys want my...
Where are the phones?
That'll be all.
Get the savings, the schedule, the special issues, the free Crunch Course tape, and get the feeling.
What was that number, kid?
1-800.
Sports Illustrated. Get the feeling.
WTBS viewers call 1-800-525-4000.
3 Godfathers will return. Tonight, Kirk Douglas is a sheriff. Anthony Quinn is the father of a murder suspect. They're best friends. Last train from Gun Hill. 7 o'clock Eastern tonight.
Tonight on Explorer, it was a race against nature and impossible odds. For 8 daring explorers, it was a modern-day journey to the top of the world without the help of modern technology. Go north to the pole on National Geographic Explorer. Tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern on the Superstation.
You know, it's funny. Lots of people used to think what made a great raisin bran was just a couple of scoops of raisins. But today, people want more. That's why today's people prefer Post Natural Raisin Bran. Post is different. Look how some raisin brands hide their raisins with sugar. Not Post. These beauties are naturally sweet. And taste these crispy wheat and bran flakes. Fantastic. So don't settle for just any raisin bran. Insist on Post Natural Raisin Bran. Today's people prefer Post.
You can slam it, you can jam it, you can block it, you can rock it at the hoop.
Monday, on Special Edition NBA, Atlanta's Air Force invades the Motor City. Human highlight Dominique Wilkins leads the Hawks' assault against Isaiah Thomas in Detroit. Then Thursday on Special Edition NBA, Kareem and the Lakers use their magic against Indiana. Let's all go to the hoop with Atlanta and Detroit. Live at 8:05 p.m. Eastern on the Superstation, Monday.
When you want to see the best, it's WTBS at the hoop.
Monday night.
It's a holdup, grab your car.
The James Gang rides again in the Great Missouri Rage. 10:20 Eastern on the Superstation Monday night. Rio Lobo.
Mighty, mighty sick man.
Three Godfathers will return. Tomorrow, the Atlanta Hawks and the Detroit Pistons take to the court in Monday night NBA action. 8:05 Eastern tomorrow night.
Following Three Godfathers, John Wayne fights to save a town from a ruthless cattleman. Jack Elam and Jennifer O'Neill, Rio Lobo, the Superstation matinee, next.
Hi, I'm Michael Landon. And if you or your spouse is an honorably discharged veteran, I hope you'll listen carefully to this very important announcement. But first, I'd like you to meet a real American hero, Mr. Odell Vaughn. After losing both legs in World War II, he went on to serve his country and his fellow veterans for 34 years in the Veterans Administration, recently retiring from its second highest office. He now serves on the Veterans Advisory Board of the Veterans Life Insurance Company. Odell, what makes the Veterans Health Plan so special?
Everything, Michael. First, it pays $50 a day. That's $1,500 a month for covered hospital stays. These cash benefits are paid directly to you or anyone you choose, regardless of any other benefits you receive from other insurance companies or the government. You use the money as you see fit. Second, no vet or spouse or widow of a vet can be turned down for this coverage for any reason whatsoever. And most important, you're guaranteed this protection at special veterans rates. Michael, we're really grateful for a company so sensitive to the needs of veterans and their families.
We'd like to mail you this free information kit telling you all about this program. But please don't put it off. This year, nearly 1 out of every 2 families will have at least one member hospitalized. So call right now. Believe me, you won't be sorry.
Call toll-free 1-800-535-7200. 1-800-535-7200. The information kit Michael Landon spoke of will be mailed to you free with no obligation. So call now, 1-800-535-7200. 1-800-535-7200. This is a free call.
You can't use a step ladder to get off the roof, a straight ladder to change a light bulb, and neither is good for painting ceilings. So here's Super Step. It's every ladder you'll ever need and more. It's a tough 12.5-foot straight ladder that bends and locks into a 6-foot freestanding step ladder, or an adjustable scaffold, or a workbench, or a pair of sawhorses. You can even paper that tricky stairwell. Each Loctite hinge withstands 5,000 pounds of pressure. Ever see a ladder bend like this? Don't spend $500 for these. One Super Step does it all and folds up for easy storage. It comes with his 10-year limited warranty plus a 3-part payment plan. Don't send any money. Just call 1-800-257-1234. We'll bill your credit card 3 payments of $37 each, and we won't bill the last payment till you've had a full 30-day home trial. The total price is just $99 plus $12 shipping and handling. Only Super Step has a 10-year warranty. Order now.
Power played a You know, it's ironic. In this film, Tyrone Power played a common man pretending to be a prince, and in his very next film, Thin Ice, he played a prince pretending to be a common man. Power was only 23 years old when Café Metropole was filmed, one of 3 movies that he made with Loretta Young back in 1937. The other 2 were Love is News and Second Honeymoon. While he came from an acting family, he was still a relative newcomer to Hollywood, but Loretta Young, on the other hand, was already a veteran. Like Power, she came from a long line of actors and had done silent films with her older sisters as early as 1917. By age 16, she was starring in Warner's Talkies, and by 1937, when Café Metropole was made, she was earning $300,000 a year, which is not a bad salary any time, but for a 24-year-old woman in the midst of the Depression, it was quite something. Although Loretta Young was never considered an acting heavyweight, she was once nominated for an Academy Award for Come to the Stable, and she won Best Actress Award for The Farmer's Daughter, which you can see here, in fact, next Thursday, right on American Movie Classics. We'll be right back, but first let's look at this.
She's a dance instructor.
One, turn, one.
He's her more than willing pupil.
I'd like one that comes to about here, and if she had red hair.
In George Stevens' tingling music.
Make you happy.
Then she found out that he worked for the mob.
Where the money came from.
Murder.
It's just business.
Vengeance.
This is my family.
Would they destroy her marriage?
I won't be a prisoner.
Or her life?
If I were you, I wouldn't make waves.
A world movie premiere starring Joe Penny and Melissa Gilbert in Blood Vows, the story of a mafia wife. Next.
a macho cop gets a new partner.
We also Felicia and Ahmad Rashad, Catherine Deneuve, and the Pointer Sisters.
This week on Today. And tomorrow night, there's an invader in Alf's backyard. Has he made friends with a fellow alien? Then on Amazing Stories, a macho cop gets a new partner. The problem is, she's been dead for 12 years.
This program is brought to you in part by the Illinois Department of Commerce and Community Affairs, Office of Tourism.
Believe it or not, this grassy marshland is at the end of the Earth, only minutes away from the Arctic Circle. The blanket of snow and ice has been replaced by lush green because this is the Arctic summer. Experienced Arctic scientists will tell you cynically that spring starts up here on Memorial Day and summer ends on July 4th, and they're pretty much on target. But while it lasts, summer is amazingly rich and fertile. What draws the scientists up here to the McConnell River near Hudson's Bay, Canada, is the incredible tameness of the wildlife. These Arctic terns look pretty aggressive. That's only because they're defending their nest. So this naturalist, or rather his woolly cat, is under heavy attack. By tern standards, this is quite gentle. These birds are capable of drawing blood right through a hat when they mean business. It's as if up here on the tundra, they have little resentment of man. Further south, the same species attacks much more fiercely. Here a tern actually settles on his hat. Why should wild creatures behave in such a ridiculously, or perhaps naturally, tame fashion? The answer is that in the Arctic, they have little experience of being persecuted by men. As a result, their nesting ground has become an extraordinary laboratory for discovering the secret life of the wild.
Presenting The World of Survival. Adventures from around the world, reflecting man's concern for his world. The World of Survival.
Most wild animals know that the first law of survival is to keep away from man. But these nesting terns are remarkably tame and seem almost totally unconcerned with my presence. Hello, I'm John Forsythe. These birds are typical of the kind of tameness that you'll find on the cold and desolate tundra of the Canadian Arctic. That's why the area is such a fascinating laboratory for observing animal behavior. Of course, not every visitor will be welcomed. A predator like a snowy owl is recognized right away for the menace he is. And the Arctic terns go into furious action against him. At last, the owl takes the hint and moves far enough away from the tern's nesting territory for them to leave him in peace. The fierce Arctic terns accepted the scientific team with a little more grace. But for real cordiality, you have to go to the female ptarmigan. Almost at once, she became used to regular visits to her nest, and even allowed a human to handle her and inspect her eggs. She became as tame as the proverbial chicken. She never went more than a yard or so away from the nest. And this is a wild animal. She matches her camouflage to the changing seasons. And by the time the eggs were ready to hatch, she was ready for her new plumage. She had lost all her remaining white feathers, and she became once again a piece of the surrounding landscape. Waders are usually pretty high-strung, jumpy, alert to danger, especially from man. But one young member of the team is recording a semi-palmated sandpiper close by its nest. The tiny bird seems almost eager for an audition. It moves right on top of the microphone. It's brought its chicks with it, presumably to fill in the chorus. And all filmed right smack in the open. An amazing example of wild animals without fear. Having completed its recording debut, the sandpiper settles down contentedly to look after its family. Well, that's tundra tameness for you. But perhaps this is the most remarkable tameness story of all. This nest belongs to a red-necked phalarope, a small and beautiful wading bird. There are 4 eggs and 3 in the process of hatching. That's the father. And this is a real women's lib story, because the male is less brightly plumaged, and reversing the normal roles, the female does all the courting, as well as laying the eggs. But the male builds the nest, incubates the eggs, and broods the young. Well, this male hasn't done too badly. He successfully hatched out 3 of the 4 eggs. But 1 egg is late in hatching. And when that happens, the male will usually take the 3 chicks who are ready to face the outside world away from the nest. The remaining egg will be left without warmth, and the embryo inside, in due course, will die. But the naturalists had grown to know this family so well that they really couldn't bear to let this happen. So one member of the team gathered up the 3 chicks and put them back in the nest. This was the only way to persuade the father to return to hatch the 4th egg. She cupped her hands to keep them there for a bit. But instinct told them to leave again and join their father in the grass. But eventually the male came back, drawn by the chicks' piping. He was apprehensive to begin with.
That was some terrific picture, wasn't it? Do we have a pic? Yeah. Who does that remind you of? Does that look like Desi Arnaz, or am I crazy? In 1967, Dirk Bogarde received a letter that would substantially change his life. It was written by a highly educated, cosmopolitan woman who was living in the United States. Now, she had seen Bogarde's picture in a magazine and was surprised to find out that he owned the house that she and her husband had lived in many years before. Bogarde wrote back, and that began a correspondence that was to last for many, many years. Now, Bogarde said that the letters became journals of their daily activities. He wrote her once a week, and she wrote daily. As their on-paper relationship grew, she began to help him with his grammar and sentence structure. She expanded his literary horizons by sending him books, which he faithfully read. Upon her death, all of his letters were returned, and she had stipulated this in her will. The letters became the foundation of 3 volumes of an autobiography written in beautiful prose by a man, according to his own admission, was barely literate when the correspondence began. Now let's get on to our next feature. It is true of the finest actresses today, and I'm sure it was true of actresses back in the 30s and 40s. Any truly serious actress will tell you that her first and her biggest problem is that she can't find the really great roles. And in the days of the strong studios, actresses didn't really have many choices. You see, they would be assigned to whatever picture the studio executives wanted them to appear in, and they were suspended without pay if they tried to refuse any role. Claudette Colbert was one of the biggest stars of the 30s, but she felt that the studio was limiting her to playing those 2-dimensional clothes horse characters. Now, that's why she was so excited when she was loaned out to Reliance Pictures, a minor production company owned by Edward Small. In our next film, Claudette Colbert plays Julie Kirk, a smuggler's daughter, a role which she enjoyed because she felt that she had more to work with than the usual. She also had a great time working with her co-stars, who are Ben Lyon and Ernest Torrance. Her friendship with Ben Lyon went back to 1927, when he co-starred with Claudette in her very, very first film. Ben Lyon said that Claudette Colbert was a delight to work with, always very professional and extremely inventive. He went on to say that the co-star was a very good sport about filming the boat and harbor sequences in this film. He admitted that in the rowboat scenes, he got a little bit seasick, but that Claudette sailed right through the part, on top of it all, and never even mentioned it. Let's watch Claudette Colbert in I Cover the Waterfront. Well, they called it good chemistry between Claudette. Well, they called it good chemistry between Claudette Colbert and Ben Lyon, but what it meant, as I said earlier, was that the two were pretty good friends off-screen as well as on. In fact, when the actor turned to directing 2 years later, it really paid off for both of them. Ben Lyon directed Claudette Colbert in her Academy Award-winning performance in It Happened One Night. What a picture that was. Critics noted that this movie had a very realistic quality about it, and what they didn't know was that the realism was necessitated by its very minimal budget. I Cover the Waterfront was made by Edward Small's Reliance Productions, and what they really had to rely on was that they could make do with very, very little money. The picture had that realistic quality because they couldn't really afford to build anything less than the sets that you saw, so elaboration was out of the question. They couldn't blow money on fancy costumes. Strangely enough, lack of money made this a better picture. I think they could take a lesson from some of these people today, from what I've seen recently. Critics of I Cover the Waterfront were also unanimous in their praise of Ernest Torrance's portrayal of Eli Kirk. Now, we'll be right back, but first let's take a look at this.
This month on American Movie Classics, Hollywood heartthrob Gary Cooper is out for vengeance.
You dang blasted show-off, you cost me my best six-shooter.
And Raymond Massey is the rough and tumble outlaw he's after.
You're going to eat crow, Marshal.
It's a great American do-or-die shootout in Frontier, Dallas. It's an American Movie Classic, Friday, January 23rd.
Well, who are you?
I don't know. I'm not quite myself today.
He was dashing.
Me?
Daring. Debonair.
Very unusual person, didn't you know?
The incomparable Cary Grant. And on Sunday, January 25th, American Movie Classics proudly presents a very special tribute to the sauciest sophisticate of the silver screen.
Makes me give it the knees, this surprise of yours.
First, Cary's seeing spots before his eyes.
This is probably the silliest thing that ever happened to me.
Katharine Hepburn co-stars in his comic masterpiece, Bringing Up Baby. Then,
when does a human soul get off its knees?
It's Cary's towering dramatic triumph. Ethel Barrymore co-stars in the film that mirrored his own life, None But the Lonely Heart. So join us for two of Grant's greatest.
Yes, we could.
Sunday, January 25th on American Movie Classics.
We are back, and before we continue, I'd like to remind you that next Monday's Thriller Double Bill is not for the weak of heart. First, in Follow Me Quietly, a neat police drama, the crime is committed and the case is solved within an hour. It's a really tight mystery, and it stars William Lundigan and Jeff Corey as the investigating officers. This is regarded as a film noir classic. Don't miss this one. Then, in the terrifying horror film Dead of Night, an architect visits a villa. The guests, though they are strangers to each other, are known to him because of a dream. That's the premise of a really bizarre film starring Walter Craig, Sally Ann Howes, and Googie Withers. So be with us next Monday for this exciting mystery double feature. I love those mysteries. Well, that used to be a radio show, I Love a Mystery. Do you remember that? Jack, Doc, and Reggie. Have I twitched your memory? We'll be right back. But first, here's something special from our film archives. We'll be right back. She was without question one of the most influential women in the 20th century. Even today, over 2 decades after her untimely and mysterious death, Marilyn Monroe's image can be seen everywhere, on posters, in books, in advertisements, and on television. In her short lifetime, she set the standard for feminine beauty and sensuality in America. For all the female stars who have reached the dizzying heights of popularity because of their sex appeal, no one has ever equaled Marilyn Monroe's fame, and no one ever will. She was a unique American phenomenon, a confused young girl from Southern California who went on to become the most famous, legendary, and revered sex goddess the nation and perhaps the world has ever known. But behind the stardom, glitter, and fame stood a lonesome young girl whose short life was a terrible tragedy. A frightened young girl who was never prepared to deal with the enormous popularity she attained. A misunderstood young girl who in her wildest dreams could never imagine the tremendous impact she would have on all American society. And while her star rose higher and higher, her private life sank deeper into heartbreak, loneliness, disappointment, and despair, finally ending in her tragic and premature death. But Marilyn's passing did nothing at all to stop the country's fascination with her. Instead, it grew. The mysterious circumstances surrounding her alleged suicidal death, coupled with the discovery of her naked body, only served to heighten America's infatuation with Marilyn, and the legend continued to grow, even to this day. Norma Jean Mortensen was born in Los Angeles, California on June 1st, 1926. Her mother, Gladys Pearl Baker, was an editor at Columbia Studios with a long history of mental illness and suicide in her family. She was unwed at the time of Norma Jean's birth, and the identity of the child's father has never been established. Norma Jean, however, didn't know she was an illegitimate child until she was 16 years old and applying for a marriage license. It was at this time she found out that the name entered on her birth certificate, Mortensen, was that of Edward Mortensen, an itinerant baker who had died in a motorcycle accident when the child was 3. So Norma Jean changed her surname to Baker, her mother's maiden name. For most of Norma Jean's childhood, her mother was confined to mental institutions. From ages 5 through 9, the little girl lived in numerous foster homes where she was subjected to beatings, humiliation, neglect, and once to rape. When she was 9, Norma Jean was placed in an orphanage, and at age 11, she went to live with a friend of her mother's. At 16 years old, she quit high school, and in an effort to escape her lonely and loveless childhood, she married 21-year-old James Doherty, a worker at an aircraft plant. The union was a dismal failure from the start, and 1 year after her marriage, Norma Jean attempted suicide. In 1944, her husband went overseas to work, and Norma Jean found employment as a spray painter in a Los Angeles defense plant. While there, she was discovered by an Army photographer who asked her to pose for some morale-boosting shots. Her pinup photos proved very popular among the GIs, and soon other photographers took notice of the girl, one of them securing her a spot with a modeling agency. The agency convinced Norma Jean to cut her brown hair short and to dye it blonde. By 1946, Norma was divorced and looking forward to a successful career as a model. She appeared on the covers of numerous men's magazines and began to attract attention in Hollywood. Howard Hughes offered her a screen test, but 20th Century Fox beat Hughes to the draw and signed Norma Jean to a 1-year contract. It was then her name was changed to Marilyn Monroe, and the publicity build-up began. There were photo sessions, acting, singing, and dancing lessons, mention in gossip columns, everything but a role in a film. Finally, in 1948, she made her debut in a little-known film entitled Scudda-Hoo, Scudda-Hey. But all of Marilyn's close-ups ended up on the cutting room floor, and at the end of a year, Fox released her. But Marilyn, undaunted, continued taking acting lessons in the hopes of landing another role. Then, in the winter of 1948, Columbia signed her to play the lead in a low-budget musical called Ladies of the Chorus. The film went nowhere, and after a few bit parts in other films, Columbia released Marilyn as well. It was after her release by Columbia that Marilyn posed for the now legendary nude calendar photos. She was paid $50 for her efforts. The calendar company made a profit of $750,000 on the sale of 1 million copies. In later years, when Marilyn was asked why she posed nude, she simply replied, "Because I was hungry." In 1950, after a succession of small roles, Marilyn was once again signed by 20th Century Fox. Gradually, her roles grew in size and importance. This, together with a huge publicity campaign launched by Fox, made Marilyn Monroe a superstar. And from there, she went on to become the most popular and admired sex symbol of all time. Her pout, her walk, and her husky voice became the object of women's imitations and men's desires. She exuded an innocent sensuality that was both erotic and wholesome. Although Marilyn Monroe was never considered a great actress, she was capable of an excellent performance in the right role. In her short career, Marilyn turned in some brilliant work in such films as The Asphalt Jungle, Gentlemen Prefer Blondes, The 7-Year Itch, Bus Stop, and Some Like It Hot. But as her screen work continued to improve, her private life was falling apart. In 1954, she had married baseball superstar Joe DiMaggio. To the American public, it seemed to be the perfect marriage. The nation's most popular woman wed to one of America's most beloved sports heroes. But like everything else in Marilyn's life, the marriage ended in heartbreak and disappointment after only 9 months. The breakup with DiMaggio was a shattering emotional experience for Marilyn. He had given her the stability and love she had been searching for, and then suddenly, in less than a year, it was gone. DiMaggio was a very private person, and the fact that literally every aspect of his wife's life became news greatly disturbed him. He tried to deal with the situation as best he could, and Marilyn made a concerted effort to keep their private lives private, but it was all to no avail. Although they loved each other very much, their vastly different lifestyles made it impossible for them to stay together. Marilyn and Joe remained close friends, however, and in later years, whenever Marilyn had serious emotional problems, she often turned to DiMaggio, who was always there to help her through the rough times. After her divorce from DiMaggio, Marilyn headed for New York, where, in an act of defiance against Fox Studios, she announced the formation of Marilyn Monroe Productions, with herself as president. Her intention was to play more serious roles, in contrast to the dumb blonde parts Fox Studios was so fond of casting her in. While in New York, Marilyn began mingling with the East Coast intellectual crowd and became particularly attracted to writer Arthur Miller, whom she married in 1956. The first few years of her marriage to Miller were relatively happy ones for Marilyn, but as was the case throughout her life, Marilyn's happiness was short-lived. It was a lifelong dream of hers to have children. 3 times during her 5-year marriage to Miller, she became pregnant, but each pregnancy ended in miscarriage. And after each succeeding miscarriage, Marilyn became more and more depressed, often turning to barbiturates and alcohol to ease her pain. She felt like a failure as a woman. Marilyn's inability to fulfill her dream of having a family was something that haunted and tormented her throughout all her adult life. Marilyn Monroe's last screen appearance came in 1961 in The Misfits. Her co-star was the legendary Clark Gable, and it was his last film as well, as he died of a heart attack shortly after the film's completion. Arthur Miller had written The Misfits especially as a vehicle for his wife. But at the time, their marriage was failing, and Marilyn was in an extremely depressed mental state. From the very beginning, The Misfits was beset with problems. It went far over schedule and over budget, and much of this was due to Marilyn's frequent illnesses and fits of depression, which often stopped the production for days on end. At one point during the filming, Marilyn collapsed on the set from an overdose of sleeping pills and had to be rushed to the hospital. As her depression grew, so did her consumption of barbiturates and alcohol. She began seeing her psychiatrist on a daily basis and was suffering from total physical exhaustion. Then, on January 21st, 1961, a week before the premiere of The Misfits, Marilyn and Arthur Miller were divorced. A month later, she entered a hospital for intensive psychiatric care. In the summer of 1962, it seemed as if Marilyn had fully recovered from her physical and emotional problems. In May, she appeared at a birthday celebration for President John F. Kennedy, and in perhaps her most famous off-screen moment, sang a breathy and provocative rendition of Happy Birthday to the Chief Executive. This, of course, fueled rumors that Marilyn and JFK had been involved in a secret love affair. Indeed, these rumors persist to this day, although no concrete evidence has ever been offered. In July of 1962, Marilyn started work on her next film entitled Something's Gotta Give, co-starring Dean Martin. But during the production, Marilyn relapsed into a very depressed emotional state. Her constant tardiness and frequent absences were so damaging to the picture's progress that for the first time in her career, Marilyn was fired from a film. Then, 1 month later, on August 5th, 1962, Marilyn's housekeeper walked into the star room and found her dead from an overdose of barbiturates. Many questions surrounding the mysterious circumstances of Marilyn Monroe's death have never been answered. Some say it was an intentional suicide. Others say it was accidental, and still others say it was murder. Even in death, Marilyn could get no rest from the relentless curiosity of the press and the public. In the 2 decades since her passing, the legend of Marilyn Monroe has grown to enormous proportions. In many ways, she is more popular today than she was during her lifetime. But what is often forgotten now, and what was never understood when she was alive, was that inside this revered and adored sex goddess was a frightened and insecure young girl. A young girl who spent her entire life desperately seeking love and understanding, but was never able to find it. One part of Marilyn sought the adulation of the masses because it made her feel wanted, loved, and accepted. Yet the fame and popularity she sought and achieved made it impossible for her to have the privacy, security, and love that would have made her life a happy one. Volumes and volumes of words have been written in an effort to explain what was and is the phenomenon of Marilyn Monroe. But for all these millions of words, Marilyn herself summed it up best with something she said in an interview conducted shortly before her death. "I've always felt insecure."
Vietnam. Eddie booked Vietnam.
Nicholas, and the cast. The producers of The Seventh Veil originally wrote an ambiguous ending for this film, and they showed the finished product to one of those preview audiences. Well, while the people liked the movie, they hated the ending. Most of those little comment cards that people write on came back saying, "I know Francesca's going to marry Nicholas," and the cast was called back for retakes. The ending was changed to the one you have just seen. Now let's get on to our next feature film. David Niven could not believe his luck being cast with his old friend Loretta Young in a believe Four Men and a Prayer. That was a good film, and I really enjoyed David Niven in that, too, regardless of the story we told before it. Clifford Odets, to get on to our next film, could not believe what he was hearing. He wrote the screenplay for None But the Lonely Heart, so he knew the character of Ernie Mott as well or better than anybody. The film's central character, Ernie Mott, is a misfit, a Cockney resident of a London slum. He is physically unattractive and quite really bewildered by life. Well, there were a lot of marginally attractive actors that Clifford Odets might have cast in this role. So you can understand his surprise and chagrin when he was told that the role of Ernie Mott would be played by none other than Cary Grant, wearing that tit-for-tat back there. You'll find out in this movie, along with other things, with British Cockney rhymes, that a tit-for-tat's your rat. Odets called producer David Hempstead and reminded him that Ernie Mott is supposed to be a seedy, unattractive kind of character, and somehow Cary Grant's image just didn't fit into that. But what Clifford Odets failed to consider was the tremendous talent of an actor who, until now, had been associated with those witty urbane comedies. When Cary Grant read the script, he thought that he would be perfect in this part. You see, on the surface, you might think he was merely looking for something different from that light-hearted romantic hero he was always known for, but it was a lot more than that. Cary Grant saw something in Ernie Mott that he never saw in any of the other roles he ever played. Cary Grant saw himself. A young man by the name of Archibald Leach growing up in London poverty, searching for a better life. If Archibald Leach, in fact, had not joined a troupe of acrobats and eventually found his way into acting, Cary Grant, as we know him, would never have been born, because in real life, this was Ernie Mott. Here is Cary Grant in None But the Lonely Heart. None But the Lonely Heart received 4 Oscar nominations, including Best Editor, Best Scoring of a Dramatic or Comedy Picture. Cary Grant, of course, was nominated as Best Actor, and Ethel Barrymore as Best Supporting Actress. Only Ethel Barrymore won. She was wonderful, wouldn't she? She would be nominated, actually, 3 more times in her career without ever having won again. Ethel Barrymore's debut in talkies came in 1932 in MGM's Rasputin and the Empress, which has the distinction of being the only film in which not only Ethel, but John and Lionel Barrymore all appeared together. When None But the Lonely Heart was made in 1944, it was only her second talkie. When she was first approached about doing this role, the part, she admitted, intrigued her, but she felt that she had to turn it down. You see, at the time, she was appearing on Broadway in The Corn is Green, and the Broadway show was destined for a long run. Well, RKO wanted her badly enough to pay all her expenses to temporarily close down that play and bring her out to the coast. Well, they made the right decision. Her performance was magnificent. We'll be right back, but first, let's look at this.
You're watching American Movie Classics.
We are back, and tomorrow 2 top-notch thrillers fill our mystery double bill. First, it's the short but very clever whodunit called Follow Me Quietly. It runs only 59 minutes, and it's a tight police drama that stars William Londigan and Jeff Corey as police officers who are hunting a vicious killer. It's considered